Cameron. Could you please introduce yourself to us?
Sure. 大家好. My name is Cameron Bertrand. I'm from the United States, from Florida, and I went to the University of Oxford to study Russian and East European studies, where we were roommates. And now I am a teaching assistant with the Fulbright program in Mongolia. So I've tried a lot of different studies and a lot of different jobs, and I'm still figuring out what it is that I want to do. I think I will probably do many things through my life, but I'm excited to share a little of my experience. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. So why did you choose to go to Mongolia?
So I studied abroad in Irkutsk, Russia, which was not very far from here, actually. And I kind of just fell in love with this region. I was studying Russian then, but I came to Mongolia for a brief time. And the cultural difference between Russia and Mongolia, even though they were very, very close together, was really interesting to me. And I just felt like I was looking into this whole new world of history and a new language. And I thought it was really, really cool. And I resolved to come back. So I started looking for programs that would take me back to Mongolia pretty much from that time forward. So that was in 2019, and I finally made it back. I was stopped because of COVID for a while, but I'm really happy to be here.
That's cool. So you mentioned the cultural difference between Russia and Mongolia. Have you experienced any cultural shock since you arrived there?
Yes, I definitely have. But actually not as much culture shock as I experienced in Russia. I think partially because I was younger then, and I was very overwhelmed by being alone in a new country and navigating a new language, although I had studied Russian some before going to Russia. And so now I feel much more relaxed. Even since I got here, I feel like there have definitely been challenges. And I can talk more about those if you want me to. But it's been a much easier transition than it was moving to Russia or even moving to England. So yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned the challenges. We would like to hear about that.
Sure, yeah. So the main challenge for me is the language, because I did not study Mongolian before I came here, and our program does not really support us in studying the foreign language. So I've had to pay for lessons on my own, and I've also found friends to practice with. And while I'm learning really quickly, I'm not learning quick enough, and I make mistakes every day, and every day people don't understand me. And so it's very difficult to, especially since I live in a smaller city where not many people speak English. A lot of people speak Russian, actually, so I've been using that a lot, but it can be very isolating to not know the language, which was the other main challenge that I've had here, was just like loneliness when I got here in particular. My co-teachers who I work with were really welcoming immediately, but I didn't have any friends my age, and that was really, really hard. And it's hard to make friends anywhere, period. But it's especially hard to make friends in a new language, in a new place. So that took a long time. And I'm really grateful now for the people who like have let me in my life, in their lives, and like take me places, even though I have to be treated like a kid sometimes because I can't do anything for myself because I can't speak. But that was the main challenge, was just the first like few months. I was like, I don't know anybody. I can't navigate this city. I am so reliant on my coworkers, right? So getting through that was a lot, and I'm still getting through it because I miss my friends from home. But I'm definitely in a better place now. It just takes time. Like whatever situation you're in, it just takes time to work through.
Yeah. So now who are these people that allow you to get into their life?
Yeah, so the first like kind of group that I found was an English conversation group that meets on Saturdays. So I started going there, and I met people who were younger, who were my age, who enjoyed things like drinking beer and going to karaoke. And so I just like, whenever anyone invited me to do anything, I would just say yes, because like, what else am I gonna do, right? My first friend here, her name is Dawahu. She invited me to go to a camel festival that she said was just outside the capital, UB. I was like, absolutely, so excited to be invited to do anything. So we bought our train tickets to go to UB, and then we were going to go to the festival from there. And so we got to UB and I asked her, okay, so where's the festival? She said, Gobi Desert, which is not outside UB. It's like a 10-hour bus ride from UB. I was like, oh my God, we only have 4 days. So we made it all the way to the Gobi Desert. We spent 1 day at the festival and then had to travel 2 days back. It was so crazy and like such an adventure. And I'm really glad I did it. But I was like, you are absolutely wild. And then later that same week, she texted me. She's like, hey, Cam, there's an Eagle Festival just outside UB. I was like, no, I know your tricks. But yeah, so she was one of my first friends here, and she like introduced me to her family, and she's actually moving to America, which I'm really sad about because she will be going soon. But hopefully we can continue our friendship in America. But yeah, so that's one of the people here that have been really supportive of me.
Yeah. So I guess the people who can have you as friend are those who can speak English well.
Yes, although I have made a few friends who speak either exclusively Russian, so we just speak Russian together,
Yeah.
and my Russian is like, okay. So, and it's interesting because I've never spoken to someone in a way where we're both speaking our second language. And so both of us have accents speaking this language that's like a bridge between us. And so it's just a really cool experience. Like,
Yeah.
I can't speak Mongolian, they can't speak English, but we have this thing in common. So I have some friends who just speak Russian, and I have some friends who speak almost no English, and we just make it work. We communicate. I have a little Mongolian at this point, and we make it happen. And those friends are really amazing because those friendships offer me the opportunity to practice my Mongolian in a way that I can't with my English speaking friends.
We've talked about difficulties. So now let's move to the positive side. What's your favorite part about living in Mongolia now?
My favorite part is, what's my favorite part? My favorite part is I made a list of things actually. So among my favorite things here are learning the language. I really enjoy language learning. So I'm like excited for the opportunity to learn this language. And my students are so cool. They make me cry often, like in a good way. I feel so like lucky to spend time with them. And also there's just this feeling here that like anything can happen at any time because I barely understand what's happening at most times. So things can just change. Like I was invited for like a cup of coffee, but we ended up going to the mountains and drinking like fresh water from a spring. Like anything can branch off and change your whole day and change your perspective. So I feel like I live in a constant state of flux. And I actually really enjoy that feeling because it just makes me more attentive to life and makes me feel more adventurous. But yeah, so I love that. And I love the people here and I love the food. So
okay, so let's move on to talk about your students and your teaching. So what's your typical day like now as a teacher?
So I work 8 to 6 and we have a 2-hour lunch break generally. So all the time that I'm not teaching classes, I spend in the office just with my fellow co-teachers. We just do our work and we drink tea and we talk. And so it's a really peaceful work day. And I usually teach 2 classes, maybe 3 classes a day. Classes are like 90 minutes. And I teach high schoolers and college students. So it's a really big range. I also teach adults, 2 classes with adults. So I have a really large range of age and ability in my students. And then I also run some extracurricular clubs. I run an English speaking club and a movie club. And we're running some other things like a writing contest, a creative writing contest. I'm so excited for. And we want to get some other things going too. Like I would really like to see a game club happen. But that's my typical day. It's just office work and working with students. My classes are small, thankfully, like 20 to 30 people. So I get to know each of them and I get to like understand the class dynamics better. But it's been good.
Yeah, but I'm confused. So you mentioned the age range is quite huge from high
Mhm.
schoolers to college or college students and adults. So are they all studying in this school or is it educational institute or something?
Yes. So this institution is kind of different from anything I'd seen before. So it's not called like a college or a high school. It's just an institute, like an educational institute. So there is a high school and a college housed in this institute, and they're in different buildings. So when I go to the college classes, I like go to a different building. So we have high school that is here, and then most of the high schoolers, they don't go to college here, they go to college somewhere else. And then the college students come from everywhere in Mongolia, mainly to learn engineering and mining engineering because Erdenet is a really big mining town. So they're like different, but in the same under the same umbrella, if that makes sense. And then
Yeah.
the adults I teach are actually the high school teachers are trying to learn English. So I'm doing classes with them.
Okay, so which class is more challenging for you?
Oh, the most challenging for me are the college students. I I love kids, so I can just get along with kids of all ages. And I also feel like I can talk to adults in and when I'm teaching the adults, since they're teachers and we're also coworkers, it feels like we're on the same level. I'm not talking like I'm not like I'm not really a teacher. I'm more like just someone who's helping them, like a friend who's
Yeah.
helping them with English. And so the dynamic there is very equal. But with college students, it's difficult because one, college students' English tends to be at a lower level than high schoolers. Um, but two, they're like my age, and yet there's this power difference where I'm teaching the class to people my age, which can feel really, really strange.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's definitely the most challenging. And also because one of the things that they want to learn is engineering and technological English. And so I have to learn those terms, right? So I studied their whole textbook and I spent a lot of time at night watching videos about engineering and like speaking engineering English so that I can understand and teach it. So the level of English is also further outside my comfort zone than just everyday English that I teach to high schoolers and teachers.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah,
Okay, so how do you like teaching so far?
I really like teaching. I really, really like it. I've done it before. I haven't taught English before, but I taught cooking classes when I was a high schooler, and I also taught computer classes in Germany with this project. And then I also did some volunteering as a tutor in various subjects and also teaching like environmental studies and environmental awareness to high schoolers as a volunteer. So I've done a lot of teaching and I not a lot, like you can never have a lot of teaching, I guess, but I've done enough that I know that I really love it. And I love it the most when the students are active and when I can find like the way I like to teach English is like by like not teaching English, kind of, I will find a subject that they find interesting and we will learn about that subject through English so that they're using English to like get to this other subject. So if they're interested in like astronomy, we did a lesson on astronomy. So they had to learn vocabulary for astronomy in English, of course,
Yeah.
but we're trying to make them unaware that they're even learning like English. It's like, because just learning the language can be very dull, but using the language to talk about something you're passionate about, that's always exciting. So that's how we like try to do our lessons and be very
Yeah,
interactive.
I think that's a great way to learn a new language.
Thank you. Yeah, I've learned so much. So I work with other teachers. So I learned so much from them every day and continue to learn from them. So I'm really lucky to have the wisdom of other teachers to help guide the classroom. But yeah, they've been great.
That's cool. So for the last question, what would you like to say to your students, maybe high schoolers?
My high schoolers, I would just say keep doing what you're doing. Like, they're doing so well just as people and in their studies. They're like very passionate and ambitious, and they have unique interests. And I'm just, they don't need me to tell them anything. Like, they are already on the right track. And so I would just tell them, like, keep doing what you're doing, and like, yeah, and I would want them to know that I'm here for them. Like, if they ever wanted any guidance, or if they ever like needed anything, that I would be here for them. So that's what I would say to them. Please try to teach me 大家好.
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 Wow, that's great.
Thank you.